we love, absolutely.
Your characters have to do a lot to survive in this movie, and I was wondering, hypothetically, which of your previous characters do you think would survive at the World's End, and which one do you think would just, like, not?
I think we designed Gary King as that guy that you cannot believe he's still alive.
Right.
You know, it's like Shane McGowan or Keith Richards. I cannot believe that Shane McGowan is still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I sort of, I trained very hard for this, you know, because I wanted Gary to be sort of just wiry and quick and worryingly sort of thin, you know, like, because he's not eating, obviously. But I think, I don't know, Nicholas Angel would just shoot everybody. I think Gary, in a way, is like if Sean never moved away from where he was anyway, do you know what I mean? Although he would have been, Gary's really sort of an 18-year-old boy, so he's younger than Sean. I think Sean might not have fared so well against the network because it was sheer dumb luck in Shaun of the Dead, and he still got everybody killed. So I think Sean would probably be a little less capable of dealing with it all.
I think Ed's dead anyway, so he's out of the equation.
Yeah, how would the network? They create a new Ed.
Let's bring a new Ed back.
Could be zombie Ed, like.
Hang on, just
Zombie Ed might survive.
Shaun of the Dead 2.
And I know a lot of people that would say playing video games in the shed is surviving, so technically he's still
Well, it's a happy ending.
It's a
You
very
know,
happy ending.
he never has to find a job. He
so
never
bad
has to
for
search
him.
for hashtag.
Because he doesn't have to get a job. He doesn't have to clean his room anymore. It's like
It's actually
Ed's
more
perfect
convenient.
world.
I know. I got the Blu-ray double feature. I was rewatching them with my boyfriend the other night, and I was like, I feel bad for him, but you're just like helping him.
We came up with that ending before we actually wrote the body of the film, as we did with the ending for this one.
Oh, cool.
We gave ourselves a destination to get to, you know, and we always like these ambivalent, slightly bittersweet endings. All three of them have that. In Shaun of the Dead, you know, you've got a guy who's lost everybody, but he's still got his best friend. He hasn't moved on like he promised he would, but his best friend is living this perfect life in a shed. That's all he needs. In Hot Fuzz, yeah, they win, but it's ever so slightly weird. They've got black gloves on. They look like the fascists that they threaten to become. You know, they're sort of beating up hippies by recycle bins. But in this one, and obviously without giving anything away in the pieces, but it's probably our happiest ending because everybody kind of gets what they want. You know, particularly Gary, because he's with his friends, living in the past really, because obviously it's like the Dark Ages, and he's happy.
And I was going to say, just to reiterate what you just said, the ending to World's End is very similar to Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
in
same
terms
sense
of
ennui, yeah.
in terms of you guys not able to maybe move on with your life, and actually, but there's no question here, so never mind.
Well, no, I know what you're saying. The key is, the point is that the most important thing is happiness. It's not, you know, if you're happy, it's fine. So even though Gary is living that life, at least he's now drinking water, which means that he's happy because he's not using alcohol as medication anymore. He's a happy man. So that's what's important. And you know, Stephen got with Sam, and you know, sure, Oliver and Peter are dead, but their replicated selves are still around, and Pete's memories are still around. He's been a good dad. Oliver's got a housing market job. You know, it's kind of all, and even Andy's back with his wife.
Yes.
Oh yeah. What are you guys actually chugging in those scenes? You did a lot of drinking.
Yeah, it's water mixed with burnt sugar and cream soda. So it had to be water because we couldn't possibly consume that much of any other liquid.
So what are your beer choices? Your beers of choice?
I don't drink anymore, which is a crazy truth considering the nature of this film.
You're destroying our.
I know. It's like, well, you know, in Withland and I, there's that great the truth of one of the best drunk performances in the history of cinema from Richard E. Grant was that he's allergic to alcohol and never drinks. So but you're a fan of
Stella Artois.
Oh, yeah.
Other beers are available.
it's not sponsored.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Stella. It's nice.
I'm gonna say like I'm more of a red wine drinker and stuff. I know.
You're just destroying the image of this movie here.
Hey, there's a bit like sort of. I would be the like. But I think the thing is that sort of as we show in the film, like you know, they're not all prestigious drinkers. If I was like the kind of was one of the actors in the film, I would be the Martin Freeman. I would be the one out first.
I'm sure you guys have heard this 100 times since you've been on the press tour about this, but the theme of the movie is obviously more serious than some of the other films, and Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz.
It
but
doesn't
that's-
get much more serious than Sean
No.
shooting his mum in the head.
That's true. But I guess the emotion attached to it, like the scene where he's describing being bullied, a kid in the pub and stuff. It's just like you really had me pulled in. I was like, I'm good. I'm not good. and then right away, here comes Gary popping in to make the joke, and I always thought that was so refreshing because you kind of get the same of both worlds. And is making that joke at the end like something that you always shoot for, or is it just like, well, this is getting too serious?
No,
let's make a joke?
I think the thing is that like, I don't think it's even a question of like, do we sit there and work out a percentage of what's funny and what's dramatic? It's just gonna all be honest.
Mhm.
I think that's the thing is that sort of like, and I think sort of some of the best comedy comes from like a painful place. That there's nothing funny in being perfect. There's nothing funny, you know, people like sort of like humor and tension and drama comes from like people's character flaws.
Mhm.
And so, you know, you create with this ensemble of like people who haven't, you know, or these characters who haven't seen each other in 20 years, like a lot of like sort of different things come to a head. Some of them ugly, and some of them sort of touching and stuff. So I think we're just trying to be true to the characters and stuff. And we also, I think we like to make films that like hopefully people think about a little bit longer than when they've validated their parking, you know, like sort of some comedies you go and say, oh, hey, that was fun. What's for dinner? And I never think about it ever again.
Also,
you know?
that moment has a complete function in that what you basically see is Pete outlines the fact that childhood is important in that speech, you know, because what he's saying is that guy doesn't remember bullying him, and that upsets him because it's like it all meant nothing. And it's a big point of the film is that their childhood meant everything because they're still essentially those people. But also, you have to have that moment of super seriousness so that when Gary interrupts it, you realise how selfish and self-centered Gary is, because that's the point when the crawl effectively ends, really, before it starts again because of what happens in the toilet.
Right.
So Gary's insensitivity at that point is vitally important for the plot, which is why it had to be that serious beforehand. So it's not about how long can we keep it serious, it's like the comedy and the seriousness working together to drive the plot forward. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so Gary until that point, Gary's kind of forgivable because he's funny, even though he's annoying. He's kind of funny. What he does to Pete there is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
So you're with the other boys when they're telling him to get fucked.
Right.
So it's all part of the mechanism.
Oh yeah, I can totally see. Yeah, it hammers it home. He's definitely like one of the most selfish people you see on screen.
Yeah.
He's one of those, like everybody knows that guy, but that's like not to that level. Like it's okay. He won't go. He's gonna turn now. He's gonna turn now. And then I think it's great that he just like remains him through. Even not great for
never
everybody.
turns.
He actually,
No, I think he does.
The very
No, he does.
I think he
Well,
definitely
he,
does, yeah.
he changes when he's just with Andy. You find out the truth about him when he's with Andy. He puts his jacket back on to face the network because that's his armor. And he has changed at the end because he's
Well,
happiest.
Yeah, he
Because
surprises me at
Hank,
the
yeah.
end for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I mean, we talked a lot about the ending. We don't want to spoil it for people, but
No.
you know, he does take on board. Andy will never know, but Gary takes on board Andy's advice, and he takes it to heart, and he does it. He actually does something. So you would hope that Andy would be amazed and surprised that like Gary has changed.
I think he's amazed that he said sorry.
Yeah, that's the good thing. He actually, if he's in, you know, people like that kind of like the. I think the thing is that they're so kind of delusional in terms of their own problems, or they're in such denial about their problems. They don't think that they're doing anything wrong. So I don't think Gary sees himself as a bad person at all. I think he's just what he's actually striving for in reality is actually something that's ultimately quite sweet, is he really wants to get his friends back together. That's true. You know, but then when he can't have that and realizes that it's changed, then it becomes about something else. But I think he absolutely wants the gang back together. And like it's just he has a very funny way of going about it. And when he can't get his way, he'll lie and he'll like emotionally blackmail people.
But I
to
think
get what
his
he wants.
reasons for doing that are very selfish.
Yeah. It is for him, and he wants to sort of be. But I think when he realizes that as well, like that they are not the teenagers anymore. Like he's ready to dump.
Tries
them.
to enlist some other teenagers.
Oh yeah. Well, I promise I won't give any spoilers away in my review. But I loved it.
And as huge as Star Wars fans you guys are, and you worked with J.J. Abrams on Star Trek, have you talked to him anything about trying to get in behind the scenes on Star Wars?
I'm definitely going to go for a set visit, that's for sure. He's filming, he's filming in the UK, so I'm very excited about going.
I saw the video you two did of C-3PO and R2, and I think they should recast it. I think it would be great. I think it would be
Anthony
great.
Daniels would be very happy about that.
Well, my one question would be, you guys are now on your third movie in this trilogy, plus you went off and made Paul. How do you see your filmmaking has changed over the years? And it's definitely gotten better. So what I want to know is, what's been your evolution as
I
filmmakers?
think we've just grown, haven't we? We've just sort of got older and got better. You'd hope we got better, you know. I mean, this film technically should be our best one yet, because we're our most mature, and you'd hope that you learn from everything you do. So I would say that we've grown up.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, we're glad to have grown with you throughout the years, guys.
bless you.
Yes, you
Appreciate
guys
the
are
time.
awesome.
Nice wrap up.
Yeah, I'll write that down. No, but seriously, I mean, since I started really getting into movies, I've been watching you guys from all the way back in space, so it's
Thank
good.
you.
to
It's very nice to meet you.
We'll
We
always
became
have this
nerd
chimney
cheers.
stack.
That's my boyfriend.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, will say hi from me.